to Aunt Susie's Kitchen. Today we're going to make Vegoodles. So you're wondering, what are Vegoodles? Well, very simply, Vegoodles are noodles that are made out of vegetables. I like to use zucchini, a mix of yellow and green zucchini, and they make a really nice long spaghetti-like noodle. So let's get started. We'll go over the ingredients really quick. Super simple ingredients. We have, I'm gonna say probably about a pound, but when we cut these, we're gonna finish up with about 2 cups of zucchini. And you can do all yellow, all green, or a mix of both, whatever your preference is. I have here, very simply, just 1 teaspoon of butter, 1 teaspoon of coconut oil. Coconut oil has a lot of health benefits. Go ahead and Google that and you'll see why it's better for cooking, especially when we're going to use high heat, than using a regular oil. I have the equivalent of 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic here. That was about 2 cloves. I have a pretty large size lemon, and then of course my reamer and my juicer, a couple of sharp knives, my cutting board and towel as always, and then I have this little gadget. This is a julienner. It probably cost about $8 at the kitchen supply store, and you can get it just about anywhere. It has this little safety here because, you know, if you know me, you'll wind up in the emergency room after playing with one of these things. So when you're using it, just be careful, it's very sharp. But basically, this is going to enable us to very easily get those long spaghetti strands off of this zucchini. So let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and remove the ends, and then we're going to peel the zucchini. Now, just be careful because sometimes when you have immature zucchini, they release an enzyme. It's actually a protection for them in the skin, and it could give you a contact dermatitis. Now, don't be scared. It doesn't happen to everybody, and it doesn't happen all the time. But if you want to be sure that you're not going to have a reaction, what you can do is you can always dampen a paper towel, hold the zucchini in your hand while you're peeling it, and you shouldn't have a problem. Okay. So before we go ahead and start to cut our strands of Vegoodles, I'm going to go ahead and start the garlic and the butter and the coconut oil. Now, I have a medium-low gas on because it's going to take me a minute to do that, and I want these things to start cooking, but I don't want the garlic to burn. So just make sure that you don't let your garlic burn, okay? Go ahead and put that in there. Excellent. In a few minutes, it's going to start to smell amazing in here. All right, we're going to go ahead and let those simmer for a little bit while we get our Vegoodles. So we're ready to go ahead and start cutting our Vegoodles. I just wanted to show you, I don't know if you can see those little tiny beads of water that are forming up on the surface of the zucchini. And like I said, that's its protective mode. It doesn't like the fact that we cut the skin. It's probably not as ripe as it should be, but unfortunately, in order to have Vegoodles, we have to sacrifice a few zucchini. So, very simple. Pull back your protective blade and just go ahead and make long cuts. Look at this. It's like spaghetti. Unbelievable, right? You notice that I have a napkin in my hand, and the reason is because sometimes it gets a little slippery. The napkin offers a little bit of grip for me so that I don't run the risk of sliding this thing out of my hand and cut myself with the julienner. And I'm just going to go ahead and continue to keep cutting until I see signs of seeds. There we go. See the seeds? Stop there, because this does not julienne well at all when you hit the seeds. So just flip it over and continue. And that's why I was saying it's hard for me to tell you how many to peel, because I'm really striving for 2 cups of finished product here. Whoops, in the bowl. For about 2 cups of finished product in here. And because I never know how many seeds are in each zucchini, I don't know how many that will take. So I've peeled 3 just to be sure. And see, evidence of seeds. Turn it on its side and keep doing that. Now, when you get down to the bottom, do not get rid of those seeds, believe it or not. I take 4 or 5 of these. I cook them in a different method. That's another video for another day. But I actually make zucchini soup with them. And because they wind up in my magic bullet, it doesn't matter that you have the seeds. All that matters is that delicious flavor and how we prepare them. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting the rest of these zucchini. I'm going to go ahead and do the yellow now, and then we're going to start to saute them. Okay, so we have 2 cups of packed zucchini cut into those Vegoodles that we talked about. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the lemon ready. I actually like to call this recipe Vegoodles franchise because they remind me of chicken franchise, obviously without the chicken. So I cut the end off just so I have a flat surface to work for, because what I need to do right now is I need about 2 tablespoons of lemon rind. There are so many essential oils inside this rind that the flavor that's going to come from it, you can't get from the juice alone. But it's very important that when you go for the rind, that you only want the rind. See this white part on the inside? That's called the pith, P-I-T-H. It's very, very bitter. And if you cut too deep into the rind, you will wind up getting some of that pith and your Vegoodles will taste very bitter. So be careful. So you can do this one of 2 ways. I have a very sharp paring knife. If you have a pretty steady hand, you could go ahead and you could cut just like that. And you see there's no pith at all on the bottom. I've left the pith behind. This to me is the most foolproof way that I know that I'm gonna just get the rind and I'm not going to get any of that pith. So go ahead and keep cutting until you think you have, you know, maybe the equivalent of 2 tablespoons, because we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna chop this very, very finely, and we're gonna use it towards the end in this recipe. So we have all of our rind, and all I'm gonna do is start to roughly chop this until it just keeps getting smaller and smaller. And what I'm looking for is really, really small, fine pieces of lemon, because they don't cook away, but they do add a wonderful taste. You could also, I mean, you definitely could use a microplaner. I just find when I microplane, it's almost impossible to avoid the pith. But again, you know, if that's what works for you, go for it. It takes a lot of microplaning on the side of a lemon to get the equivalent of a tablespoon of lemon rind. So, you know, pick your poison. It's all about what works for you. Just about to the point here where this is nice and fine. And I'm just going to go ahead now and put it inside this little dish. And we're going to go back to that in about a minute. Okay, so we're back at this pan that we put on a little bit ago. I'm going to actually take the heat from that super, super low temperature. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. And you see, I'm just barely starting to get a little bit of browning on my garlic, and that's good because that's what I want. I did not want to burn this garlic. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put these beautiful noodles, Vegoodles, into this pan. And I'm going to just give them a toss because what I want to do now is I want to evenly coat them. And as they cook, there's a lot of water in squash. Squash does have a lot of water in it. As anybody knows who's ever tried to cook down pumpkin to make their own homemade pumpkin pie, it takes forever to cook the water out. And, you know, most squash have that same characteristic to it. So we're going to go ahead and coat it. And then we're going to leave them and we're going to just let them start to simmer. We're going to let those noodle strands start to get tender. And while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to just put a very little bit of salt. This is a preference thing. If you like black pepper, you can go ahead and give it a little black pepper also. I don't like too much black pepper, but if it's freshly ground, you know, I do like some. And we're going to go ahead and give this a mix. And now, while these noodles are still pretty raw, I'm going to go ahead and grab that rind that we made, that zest, and I'm going to put that in there. I actually call this recipe Vegoodles franchise because when you're done and they're finished cooking, it tastes just like chicken franchise, obviously without the chicken. So this is a great vegetarian dish, or this is a great side dish to have with meat, to have with chicken, to have with anything. Sometimes I'll have just this as a snack. I know that sounds crazy, but you will not believe how delicious these are. Okay, so we're not done here. We need to go back to that lemon that we were using before, and we need to juice half of that large lemon to finish this dish. Okay, so we've got the lemons from before. I'm going to use the larger piece because I like mine very lemony, but again, this is preference. This is a half of a very large lemon. If this were a much smaller lemon, you might want to use the whole thing, but start with half. You can always add more. You can pick your poison. I am a huge fan of a citrus reamer because I feel that it gets most of the juice out. The only downfall with this is the seeds come out with it. So the alternate to that is the juicer. And that one, to me, it's a little more awkward to work with, but it does capture the seeds in the bottom. You could also, if you wanted to, put a small strainer and just juice right over the strainer and you'd catch all of the seeds. Me, I don't have time for that. So I just am going to go ahead and juice this. And of course, this lemon clearly has something wrong with it because there's not one pit inside it. And normally I always get the lemons that have like 6,000 pits per square inch. So we got lucky today. And I don't think we got any pits at all with this lemon. That's wonderful. So I'm going to say, if I had to make an educated guess, I have about 4 tablespoons of lemon juice here. And I'm going to start with this. And as the Vegoodles cook, I'm going to taste it. And if it needs more lemon, I can always go back and add a little bit more. So let's go ahead and get this in our Vegoodles. Okay, so our noodles have been cooking. And as you see, there's still some moisture inside the pan. And that's okay because that's going to dissipate. We're going to go ahead and add the lemon juice that we just juiced from that lemon. And we're going to give them a little toss. Spread them back out in the pan. And what's going to happen now is the lemon juice is going to start to evaporate. All the liquids will evaporate. The flavor is going to concentrate, and the noodles are going to continue to cook. So we're going to leave them sit for about 3 minutes, and then we're going to turn the gas down just a very little bit because I don't want them to start getting brown. And we'll come back and see how they are. Okay, so we've let this go ahead and continue to cook for a couple more minutes. All of the liquid has evaporated. I'm going to shut the gas off because at this point they're done. And if you cook them too long, they'll get a little bit soggy. So I don't like mine soggy. I'm going to go ahead and plate mine. Look at those nice long strands of noodles. There are so many things that you can do with these noodles. You could put some crushed red hot pepper flakes on top. You could garnish it with a little bit of cilantro. You could use lime instead of lemon. The possibilities are endless. You could actually just make the Vegoodles and not put the lemon in at all, and you can top it with some pasta sauce and some Parmesan. So these noodles are just, you know, there's endless possibilities to what you can do with them. Right now I'm going to eat mine just like this because this is my favorite way to have them. I hope you check this out. I hope you check out some of our other recipes. Let us know what you'd like to see us make for you. And don't forget to come back and see us because there's always something good cooking in Aunt Susie's kitchen.